Yeah, this year's theme is holding firm. So I'm going to be talking about the time that I really had to hold firm. Now, this isn't going to be that deep because hopefully this is going to be funny. So just my last week was spring break for my school system. And so a lot of us were going on vacation. A lot of people on vacations like sand and sun and beaches and stuff, and that's fantastic for them. That's not my vibe. I really like dreary and depressing and foggy. And so when my grandparents asked me where I wanted to go on my 16th birthday trip, which was last week, I tried to think of cities that were dreary and depressing and foggy. So we went to San Francisco. And it was really great. It was fantastic. And one thing that I do where I am the same as many people on vacation is that I go on vacation to escape, and I think that everybody does this. You're going to escape the monotony of life. You're escaping school or work or both. And so I was having a great time. But what I've come to realize on vacations with the Boyd family is that when Sunday rolls around, the one thing you cannot escape is the love of Jesus Christ. And so on Sunday morning in San Francisco, after we had already, Googled Churches of Christ in San Francisco, we woke up earlier than we did any other day in the week, and I made sure to get out my suit, now wrinkled from transit, and throw that on, and then we all crammed into our little Uber to go to this place that we'd never been before. And eventually, we were finally dropped off at the beautiful gates of Uptown Church of Christ, the gates which were locked. And so, my grandmother, bless her heart, as determined as she is, goes and looks for a side entrance, which is difficult because a tree has fallen down right next to the main entrance, and we have to go around the tree in the street to get to the side entrance, and we found one. It was locked too. Eventually, we go through a parking lot, around a wall, and then take another turn, and behold, there it is, an open door. So we go in, and we find a seat in the auditorium, not too close, not so close as to be too assertive, not so far back as to be too reclusive, but right in the middle. We did the auditorium geometry. It's important. And
so true.
Then I notice what's in the back of the pew in front of me, which you can tell a lot from what's in the back of the pew. At my church, we mostly use slides, and so the songbooks aren't really used anymore, but we have the same songbooks that are here, Songs of Faith and Praise, and the NIV, which to me feels like fairly normal. I'm very comfortable with Songs of Faith and Praise, slides, NIV. Now, this church doesn't have slides, which is fine, but what they've got in the back of the pew is Sacred Selections and King James. And I knew exactly what kind of day this was going to be. So the service started, and it was starting fairly strong. I've used songbooks before. I'm used to having to flip through the pages. Although I will say, when he said 426, I was like, all right, I got this. Started flipping through the pages, and then I realized that there are two songbooks actually. There's also Praise for the Lord. So, nope, put that one back. Take out Praise for the Lord, 426. Got it. Great. And then, when the sermon came around, I knew that I had some expectations. We came in, and we were about an hour and a half after class had been scheduled to start, and the preacher was still going strong. And looking in, this was not exactly a discussion either in there. So I knew that, this may go a little bit longer than I was expecting, than I'm used to. But nothing could have prepared me for what it was. I've sat through some long-winded sermons before Winterfest. A lot of them are like an hour long. But I'm fairly used to those. Jeff Walling goes up there. He's great. He has some people come up. Maybe he's got a lot of visual aids, a lot of slides, a lot of stories. There were no slides. There were no stories. There were no visual aids. There were no anecdotes at all. This man went on for 55 minutes. And he was impassioned. I will say, he was passionate. He meant it. And I frequently have problems with staying awake everywhere. I'm a teenager. I get a terrible sleep schedule. So I sleep everywhere. But I did not sleep that day. And it was not because it was riveting. It was out of one thing, and that is fear. I was scared of this man. He called out someone on the right side. He said, "Sister Margaret, I see you looking at your watch." If I came to your job and I watched you work for 8 hours, I watched you work your fingers to the bone, and I said, oh, I'm so tired, you'd want to punch me in the face, wouldn't you? And I was like, and not only did he call out someone on that side, that was the only time he actually talked to this side. He liked to talk to the middle, of course, it's right in the line of sight. But what he really liked to do was go over here to the left side. Now, I'm a visitor at this church, and I don't know anyone here, okay? I don't know any of those stories. But I guarantee you, there was a guy over here that had done something. the preacher, he knew. Because when I walked into this church, and I got kind of an assessment of the people who were there, and now I know you can't judge a book by its cover, but they seemed like fairly churched people. You know, we all seemed very comfortable here. We'd all intentionally found the Church of Christ, because this was not a place you just stumble upon. And we were all dressed in our Sunday best, but goodness gracious, it was like he was preaching out of prison. And he did not think we were saved. But anyway, we make it through. We make it through. It was a miracle. And we come out after these 55 minutes, and he is sweating. He's had this rag in his hand the whole time, wiping sweat off his forehead. And we come outside, the tree's gone. It's a miracle, because when we were coming in, I mean, in retrospect, what I think it was is that the Lord had struck down this tree as a sign. It was in front of us, and what most people would have done is called taking a hint. But we persisted. We persisted. It was a 55-minute sermon on conclusions, which I find pretty ironic. Now, I'm going to try to do something that wasn't done that day and say, in conclusion, the other book that we're going through is James. And let's see, hold on. A moment. James 1, verse 2. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. Well, no. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trial of many kinds. Inflection. So, I would have to consider that day pure joy, I guess.